Hello, AP Scholars. We are going to be going through String-1, first column. I'm gesturing to my screen, but you can't see me gesture. Well, you can see me gesture, but you don't see where I'm gesturing. So I'll gesture with the mouse. We're going to go through them pretty fast, so don't hesitate to further ask questions. I just am wondering if this might help get people unstuck a little bit on some of the questions, if you are stuck on them. But by no means will this necessarily cover every little detail you ever needed to know, so don't hesitate to ask questions. This is just meant to be helpful, not meant to solve all your problems. I would love to help you solve your problems, though, so let me know. So we'll start with hello name. This is a nice one to begin with. We take a string, and then we return that string, but it's being hugged by hello space and by exclamation mark. So this is a perfect use for the concatenation operator. So here I'm going to return, because remember we're making string methods here. Well, in this case, this is a string builder, really, where we're going to take a hello space and then exclamation mark and then plus plus. And then the name, of course, because it's not a literal string, it will evaluate to whatever name was sent. We don't have quotations on here, so it'll evaluate this instead of just putting the word name or the letters NAME there instead. So this should work. Press go. Bam, look at that. It's go green. Woohoo. Okay, so that's how you do the first one. Next one. Well, I messed up. I'll try again. Make out word. So make out word looks like it's going to take given an out string length 4 such as this and a word, return the new string where the word is in the middle of the out string. In other words, word. Okay, so use substring ij to extract the string starting at index I and going up to but not including index j. I and j are kind of confusing me. So, oh, I see. They're just introducing what is substring here. It's like intro to substring. So we're going to use substring to get the first part. So like, yay, we need to get the first two characters, and this is how you do it. I just saved it in a string variable. If you did this all in one line, that's great. But I like to do it sort of piece by piece for my answer key so you can see what's going on. So I get the first chunk, so 0 to 2, that's 0, 1, and not including 2. That's how substring works, right? And then 2 to 4 is 2, 3, and not including 4, so it gets that chunk. So that's how substring works, and then we can use the concatenation operator to put them all together. Yes! We did it! We did it, I think. Yeah, we did it. All right, moving on to the next one. We got first half. So given a string of even length, return the first half. So the string woohoo yields woo. So basically, we're going to use substring, but we need to go from 0 to the halfway point. So if you just divide the string length by 2, you're good to go. And you might be thinking, but what if it's an odd number? Won't I get 0.5? But no, you won't, because string str.length returns an integer, so that defaults to integer division, so you get an integer back, so it chops off the decimal. And that actually just works out to be the right number. So if you run it, you'll see that we are getting the actual halfway point, even if it's even or odd. I guess if it's like, it works out pretty nicely when it's even. I don't know if there's an odd example. Maybe they're always meant to be even. Oh yeah, it's always even length anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it would have been fine for an odd number as well. At least it would have compiled just fine. Okay, there you go. First half is done. Next is non-start. Woohoo! And we got given two strings, A and B. I don't know if those are the original names, but that's fine. Return their concatenation. Oh, except omitting the first character. So hello there is hello here. Awesome. So again, we're just going to use substring, but here's an example of where you can use just one parameter. One parameter means that it will grab a substring starting at this character and going all the way to the end. So good to use that one in this example. And then we're just concatenating the results together. So we'll get our hello here's and our ava ode and our hot lava. I don't even know what's all this about, but there's the answer for that one. Okay, moving on to the end, which is not the end, but we're getting there. So I should have put this one at the end. So I have an if-else kind of situation where I'm choosing what to do because it sends you a Boolean variable. So given a string, return a string length 1 from its front, unless front, which is this Boolean variable here, this parameter, is false, in which case return a string length 1 from its back. So, hey, no problem. If front is true, and notice that I don't say equals true. You can do that, that's no problem. But if front is true, then we're saying does true equal true? And I don't know if it really matters. So we can just skip that altogether because front is already true or false. So if front is true, we return the first character, and that's how we do it with substring. Or if it's not true, else, right? Then we return the last character. Whoa. And we only have to use one parameter here because it goes from that character to the end. We did it! Here, I'll press go just to make sure it actually works. Yay! It looks like it's working fantastic. Okay, moving on. Beyond the end is ends, ly. Let's do this one. So given a string, return true if it ends in ly. So what we need to do is we need to get the length of the string. And I did this as a separate step. You don't have to do this as a separate step. But I like to keep my if statements really clean. I like to keep each line of code like not too long. Some people will worry about the verticality of their program. They want to make it like take up as little vertical space as possible. Do it in as few lines as possible. And that can be a good thing. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes they do it at the expense of the width of their program. And it gets very long and wide and wide and wide. So you really haven't done much. The actual like area of your program hasn't changed. So I prefer to sort of do it step by step. And it's sort of like in math when you do your steps for your whatever equation you're solving. You kind of work it out one step at a time, and it's easier to look back and see if you made a mistake. So that's my recommendation to you. But again, you can solve them really any way you want. So I will let you decide on that. So I guess we find the length in a separate variable, and then if it's less than 2, then I return false right away. Hey, why is that? Well, if it's not too long, it can't end in ly. If it's just the letter A, well, there's nothing else to do. So this is a good example of us checking edge cases. Really good idea to check for edge cases, and then you don't have to mess around with other little details later on. Because then afterwards, I can just be like, hey, does I just grab the back end of the string, the back 2 characters, and check to see if it equals ly. And that's it. And I can do that with confidence. I'm not going to go out of bounds because I already know that if length was less than 2, it would have returned false, and it would never have gotten to this line of code anyways. So, yes, that is a great way. Remember, checking edge cases and returning immediately when you find those edge cases makes it so that your later on code can be so much simpler. We're done. Actually, I pressed go anyways, just to make sure it works. Yay! It looks like it worked. Okay, moving on. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Middle 3. Here it is. Middle 3. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. So basically, we want the middle 3 characters of an odd length string. So if it's candy, then we return and if it's solving, we return lvi. I don't know how to pronounce that. Levi. And it sounds like a Roman numeral. So here we go. So this is the idea. Basically, we just want to find the midpoint of the string. So the midpoint in candy would be n. The midpoint in and would be also n. The midpoint in solving would be v. How do we find that? We'll just basically divide the length by 2, and that'll give us the index of the middle character. So, for example, solving, let me do some quick math here. That's 7. 7 characters. What's 7 divided by 2? You might say 3.5, but remember this returns an int, so that does integer division, chops off the decimal. So we get 3. And see how that's actually useful, right? Before we were just like, why does Java do this? We're starting to see examples of why it does this. So 0, 1, 2, 3, yes, it's the V. And you can see that works out for every single example. A really good strategy is to just do some examples and do the math in your head before you even write any code. Figure out what is the math. Instead of like trial and error programming, like work out the math that needs to be done first. So once I have once I have the midpoint, then I can go sort of one backwards to get one character that way, and one forward to get one character this way. So I return the middle 3. So that's basically using substring. I can go 1 to the left. I got to think about that by subtracting 1, and then go 1 to the right by adding. Oh, weird. 2? Why 2? Well, remember the end of substring is non-inclusive, so we have to go 2 in order to catch 1. I hope that makes sense. If not, come talk to me about how that works. That's the answer. Whoa, run. It's green. We're good to go. Middle 3. I'm just looking at the time. I'm like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. Last chars. All right, so last chars. Oh, yeah. This is a good one. So given 2 strings, A and B, those are parameters that we get sent. Return a new string made of the first character of A and the last character of B. So like last chars will be L from A and S from B. So again, a little substring thing to work on. And then there's a little bit of a wrinkle. They say if either string is length 0, use at for the missing character. So we just got to double check that the length is 0. Notice that I didn't do a separate like length variable here. So like, you decide what is the best way for you to do this. I think this works out pretty nicely. Also not using braces. Check that out. How risque. Ooh, no braces. But of course you don't have to use braces when there's only one line. You can even put it all on one line if you like. I kind of like the looks of that. That looks pretty good there. Condensed. But you can do it however you like. So I'm just deciding, is it an at or is it not an at? And then I actually am changing the string. So like I guess I'm not truly changing it because we all know strings are immutable, but I'm replacing whatever was there with the at symbol if the length is 0, right? Because otherwise, when I go to do substring, it would be it would be an error. I'm not allowed to do a substring on an empty string. So if it's an empty string, I just turn it into the at symbol, so that when I go to get the first or the last character, I get the at symbol. So I actually kind of edit my data that I've been sent, and that's totally fine. It doesn't say anything about not changing these at all. I don't think that's a problem at all. So then I can do substring to get the last character. If I didn't do the edge cases, then I'll just get the first and last character of whatever they sent me. Whole, check it out. Greens everywhere, just what we want. Okay, only a few more. How many more have we got? 3 more. Okay, C color. Boom, let's do it. C color is... given a string, return, if the string begins with red or blue, return that color string. Otherwise, return the empty string. Okay, so we just check to see. I guess I didn't do this a very creative way. Did you guys come up with a better way than this? I didn't really have a better way. I just, I think I could have done this better. I think I could have, I don't know. It's a little bit hard to say because the edge case is a little bit more complicated. The string... length, if it's 4, it allows you to check for blue, but it still might have been red. And if it's length 3, well, you only want to check red, you don't want to check blue as well. So I didn't really have a cleaner way to do this, so I just ended up making a big compound if statement. But I bet if I thought about it a bit more, we could probably clean this code up and make it a little bit nicer. So, hey, let me know if you found a good, cleaner way to do this. But this is okay, so I just say if it's greater than... or equal to length 3, and if it's red, if the first substring is red, the first 3 characters, then return red, because that's what we're supposed to return. Else, and I'm using the if-else if, notice. So else if, if that happened, great. If it didn't happen, I'll check the next. So then we have, if it's greater than 4 or equal to 4, then I can check blue safely. And then I can return blue. And otherwise, I'll return nothing. You could have done this without any ifs, without any else's. You could have just done it like this as well. I think that will work just fine too. So the reason why is because these are sort of mutually exclusive, right? This will happen if it does succeed, it returns anyways. So there's no need for the if-else if really, because it was not going to go to the next one if it succeeds either way. And then I can just leave this blank return, because if both of these fail to return, then it gets to this line, and then that's good to go. Notice also I'm using the literal string first. That way, I mean, this will never happen to you anyways, but that way if this was null or something, I mean, I guess we would have broken here if that was a null string. So I guess this isn't super important, but it's a nice thing to do anyways, just to be in the habit of putting the literal string first. Sometimes it'll save you an error from time to time. Hey, I like that answer a little bit better now, but I feel like there could be a better one, so tell me if you got a better one. Extra front. We're on the second to last one. So extra front is basically you get a string, and you return a new string made of 3 copies of the first 2 characters. The string may be of any length. If there are fewer than 2 characters, use whatever is there. Okay. So. Oh, yeah, okay. So actually, this is a nice solution. I like this a lot. So basically, if it's greater than 2, we need to take the substring. If it's not greater than 2, well, we just use whatever is in str. And I do this technique where I just replace str with the substring. So if it was, say, hello, I just change str to become he, I guess is what that becomes. And then I don't have to do anything special for this return statement. I could just be like, return this and this and this, and just combine it. So I just kind of replace the data. That's a nice technique to save you some code. Otherwise, you'd have to have like a more complicated if-else structure. This sort of just decides, do I cut down the string or not? And of course, you're not truly cutting down the string, you're just replacing it, and then add them all together. And I might not do this, and I just add them together that way. So that works out nicely. Oh, we did it. We did it. We're on to the last one. String 1. Start word. This one is a bit of a tough one. I see that we have quite a bit going on here. So check out this. Given a string and a second word string, so a string and a word, we'll say that the word matches the string if it appears at the front of the string. Okay. Except, and it always has these excepts, except its first character does not need to match exactly. So, for example, hippo and high works, but hippo and zip also works because the first character doesn't have to match. But as long as the IP matches, we're good to go. So really, oops, I pressed go by accident. Really, we're just checking this part matches this part, or in this case, this part matches this part. And here, this one, to see if it matches this one, but it doesn't matter because the first character doesn't matter, so that's a guarantee. So if this is length 1, like, we're good. So here's some examples of edge cases. So I like to check the edge cases first. So I check to see if the word is longer than the length of this first string, then there's no way it can occur in there, right? If I had hippopotamus, well, hippopotamus can't begin at the start of hippo. It's not long enough. So I just return the empty string right off the bat. And apparently they do guarantee the word will be at least length 1. So, you know, I don't have to worry about it being null or anything like that. Same with word and I think str. So that's good. And then here's another fun thing. So this is where I say, hey, if this is where I think I could have broken it into multiple statements, putting it all in one thing. Look at this Frankenstein thing of like dot substring dot equals dot substring. Oh my gosh, I kind of regret this now. But you know, we're a little low on time, so I'm just going to go with it. It might be a good exercise to break this into separate variables, break it into separate parts. But what I do is I get the I get this chunk here of str. So like if this is length 3, I get this chunk here. And that works out nicely by using 1. So I skip the first, and then over to word.length. So it goes, so for example, this is 3. So it goes to 0, 1, 2, and not including 3. So I just get I turn the length into the index of where I need to go up to. So that will give us that part there. That's pretty confusing. Think on that if this question is giving you trouble. Like, why does that work? I would do that out on a piece of paper, actually. If I was here with you right now, I would get out a piece of paper. We'd do the math. And then I check to see if that equals this part from here to here. So basically, I get this information with this substring, and I get this information. This substring here gets this information, and then I compare if they're equal. If they are, I just return the first part of word. Oh no, the first part of string up to the length of word. Otherwise, I return nothing. That was a terrible explanation, but we ran out of time. So yay! If you are wondering more about this question, I'd love to help you out. So let me know. Anyways, we did it. We did it. We got through the string 1 exercises. So I hope that worked out really nicely. Hey, here's a whole bunch more. If those were hard, then you're probably gonna want to. Oh, what? I haven't finished them all. Wow, fun times. I can't wait to go finish them. But I would highly recommend that you go and try some more out if you have time. I know not everyone's got time. You got very busy schedules. But if you find the time and you're like, I want to rock this next string test, go crush some of these other ones. Get really comfortable with substring. It's going to be on almost every question on the upcoming exam, or it'll feature prominently. I shouldn't say on every question, but it'll feature prominently on the upcoming exam. So if you got that like the back of your hand, like you just know how it works intuitively, you're just going to be set up for success for sure. Okay, thanks AP Scholars. Have yourselves a great day. We will see you soon. Bye.